Good day, viewers. My name is Miss Aces. Welcome once again to our fourth program. Today we will learn about economic geography, placing great emphasis on subsistence farming and commercial farming in Namibia. At the end of today's lesson, you should be able to distinguish between subsistence farming and commercial production. So we should be able to describe at least one representative example of each of these types of production in Namibia. Without further ado, let's start. Agricultural production is very important in Namibia, and it involves both growing of crops and breeding of animals. About 70% of the population is directly or indirectly dependent on agriculture for their livelihood. Let's look at some of the key words that we need to know and understand before moving deeper into the content. The word production. Production refers to producing crops and other items from raw materials and resources such as land. Subsistence farming refers to producing enough food for own needs with surplus for sale. Commercial farming refers to large-scale production of food to sell. Intensive farming is when capital in form of money and labor is used to produce as much as possible on the available land. Let's take a look at subsistence and commercial farming. There are two systems of farming in Namibia, namely subsistence and commercial farming. Let's take a look at subsistence farming for a start. Subsistence farmers in the communal areas produce mainly for their own needs and the needs of their families, and also for the community. They follow traditional farming methods, applying natural fertilizers. They sometimes market or sell some of the surplus produce they grow. Most family members work on the farm. They help each other to get the work done quickly. An example of subsistence farming in Namibia is crop production in the north of the country. Examples of crops grown in the northern areas are mahangu, sorghum, maize, beans, groundnuts, sunflowers, potatoes, pumpkins, onions, melons, sweet potatoes, tomatoes, and fruit from the marula and citrus trees. Mahangu is a stable cereal food that is the main crop produced in the north. Mahangu grows in unfavorable soil and climate conditions. From November to January, the farmers plow and plant their fields. They harvest their crops during late April and May. The pictures below show how subsistence farming is practiced in the northern part of the country. The picture also shows how family members work together to get the job done. Most of us travel to the northern part of the country to practice this type of farming for own consumption. Let us look at another type of farming in Namibia called commercial farming. Commercial production is farming for the main aim to sell most of the produce grown for a profit. Only a small portion of the produce cultivated on commercial farms itself is eaten locally. These farmers specialize in produce that is best suited for the environment and for which there is a constant demand. Commercial crop farmers use machinery such as tractors, plows and planters and harvesters. They use modern farming methods to apply artificial fertilizers on a large scale to conserve and improve the soil. The picture below shows how this is done. Commercial farming in Namibia can be divided into three main branches, namely crop farming, cattle farming, and dairy farming. Because of the low and unreliable rainfall and largely infertile sandy soil, only a small part of our country is suitable for crop farming. Commercial farmers produce crops in areas called the Maize Triangle, a district at Otavi, Grootfontein, and Tsumeb. the Hardap irrigation scheme in the south, the Stampit areas, and the Noord-Oever irrigation scheme on the side of Orange River. The next type of farming we will look at is the cattle farming. It's found in the central part of Namibia. Beef cattle in the central region is kept on farms of large piece of land. The most common beef cattle breed are the Brahman, Afrikaner, and Simentaler. Cattle farms are divided into fenced grazing camp, which are supplied with drinking water, and farmers use rotation grazing. The Meat Corporation of Namibia, Meatco, is the largest meat producer in Namibia. The biggest problems cattle farmers face are cattle disease, overgrazing, bush encroachment, where the bush replaces grass, and the scarcity of water. Let's take a look at the final branch of farming under the commercial farming, the dairy farming. Dairy farms are usually located close to cities and towns so that the milk and other dairy products does not have to travel over long distances. Dairy is the most intensive type of farming and is practiced on a small scale in our country. Some of the most important dairy cattle breeds are Jersey, Friesian, and Guernsey. Dairy farms produce milk to supply products such as cream, butter, yogurt, cheese, and cattle milk. We've come to the end of our lesson. Let's recap on what we have learned. We have distinguished between subsistence farming and commercial farming. We have described at least one representative example of each of these types of production in Namibia. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you have enjoyed today's lesson. Take care until we meet again.